Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, David Palmer, Leo King. It's been a minute since I've been around doing this thing. How are we doing here? We got clear? Yeah, it looks like we're clear. We got the sun at my back today. There's some things that I want to share about what's been going on. A lot of people have been messaging me and hitting me up. Hey, David, what's going on? Why is this such weird energy right now? I've been getting a lot of that, right? And also, a lot of it, I think, kind of came out this weekend in, I guess you could just call it like the consciousness overall. And I just really feel, number one, a lot of this is about having to continue to keep going, right? Like you can look at it in multiple fronts. One, you can feel like you're faced with not enough energy, you're not faced with not enough strength. And a lot of this has to do with courage in multiple different aspects. One, in order to have courage, you need fear. So you're fearful that you're not going to be able to make that risk in your life to change your job or do whatever that you're going to have to do. And fear spreads in a million different ways. But it feels like the fear that we're experiencing now is on a new level, I guess you could say. So it's not ghostly, scary fears as much as it's fears that are going deeper down in our subconscious aspects of ourselves that are afraid to courageously move through some of the simplest things in life, I'm going to be honest with you, because I feel like if we look at the world from a third party, right? Like if we actually, like I watched The Truman Show last night because I've been sick. So I had to do my dad's wedding last night, which was awesome. But I've been sick, so I just been watching movies and resting and sleeping, right? But I was looking at things like through The Truman Show, and then it was like even weirder on how Jim Carrey lately has been, I don't know how to feel about Jim Carrey right now. Like he's saying a lot of good things, but then another part of it all is like kind of, I feel bad for him too, in a way. There's something that feels a little off, right? You know? But that's going off topic. But if we look third party at things, it's not like the world has changed in a negative way. I mean, there's still awesome marriages happening. There's still beautiful days. I saw the most beautiful sunset ever. There's still kittens rolling on the ground, having the best time of their lives. There's still happiness. There's still marriages. Yes, there are still hurricanes, there's still earthquakes, there's still people not getting along about issues in life. That hasn't changed. Politics hasn't changed one bit. Just the topics that have changed, and the personalities might be a little bit stronger now that we all have phones that are in our face 24/7, whereas before you'd have to watch the 700 Club, or you'd have to watch a political show, or you'd have to read it in the political part of your newspaper, like the Wall Street Journal or things like that when you were a kid, or when I was a kid. So I think with what we've been presented with lately in our lives with politics and just overall feeling weird, is you have to just step forward and move through the energy with a new profound sense of courage. And when you actually show up, you're fine. You know? I think that's the problem, is a lot of people are afraid to just kind of show up to whatever the situation is or whatever the problem is and just deal with it, right? I think a lot of people are afraid to show up to the world every day now, right? It's like safer to worry about the world or you know, recently a bunch of Christian, I don't even know if they are preachers or anybody, tried to prophesize the rapture and the Revelations, chapter 12 in the Holy Book, right? tried to become astrologers, right? Didn't even know what system they're looking at or anything like that. You know, so it's like all these like excuses to try and find, well, why is the world so horrible right now? But when I look at it and I look at the way that it is, I think it's been perfectly orchestrated with the transits that are coming this week for not being so afraid to come into your own revolution of self and look at the world differently and not be a victim of the world, but be a proponent of making the world a better place. I think that's something that is hard for people to do. I think it's truly testing people's ability to love the world that's around them, that's ever changing, just like we just changed the seasons the other day. I mean, hello, that shit's gonna happen. You can't have summer all year round. I mean, sure, I live in SoCal and it feels like summer, but the truth is the days are gonna get shorter. So no matter, you know, what happens on this planet, no matter where you go, there's change. So I think that a lot of people are afraid of change. And I think we're feeling a lot of that with Pluto, which is about to come direct next week here, while Jupiter opposes Uranus. I mean, these are big revolutionary breakthroughs, not only in lessons to be learned, but finding strength in places we didn't have before, in places that were a little bit too cautious or weighing things out too long. You know, this is a time where we're dealing with our weaknesses, and we're in a world that's exposing its weaknesses. So that doesn't mean that it's a horrible place. I think that this is anything but a end of the world. I mean, sure, everybody says spiritually it's the end of one world and the beginning of another, but how many of those have we freaking had? You know what I mean? Like, I could say that for every eclipse, or I could say that for every end of a cycle, right? You know what I mean? But like, I think a lot of it is saying it's not as scary as it really seems to be, because you're just dealing with weaker parts of yourself. And I don't even want to use that term. Parts of yourself that you're not as strong with using, that you're learning. It's like going to the gym, right? Like, I'm like a leg guy. Arms, not so much. So if I go to the gym with some people and like they want to like impress everyone, I'd be like, okay, I'll do some calf raises and I'd win. But, you know, bench pressing, I don't even know what I bench. I probably bench whatever, right? That's not my strength. But this would be a time where I'd be like, okay, I got to work on that right now, right? Like, sure, it might be uncomfortable, but it's these eclipses that happen were in Aquarius and Leo. And both these signs deal with light, okay? They deal with your inner light. And so when your inner light is tested, it's at the highest degrees of your strength, your ability to truly bring your true essence out and find its core strength. And so that's what this has been about. And you can't get too worried about all the things that are happening in the world right now. Like, it's not the end of the world. This is the end of a long cycle that has gone 5 years as Jupiter comes into Scorpio in the next couple weeks. That's covered a massive, scary point and juncture that was deep inside of us, embedded 5 years ago around this time, and clearing that energy. So it's uncomfortable because it's re-bringing up parts of those places. But what I've been noticing is, if I show up with a lot of love in my heart, I've always been a lover, but I've never been one to receive love much in my life. As a Leo, that's kind of our MO, right? And I really learned that I have to receive the love not only from my relationships in my world more, but the world that's at large. But when you're being told every day through social media and from everybody around that the world is horrible, and everything's messed up, well, guess what? It's kind of hard to receive that love of the world that's around you, receive that love of Earth. It's all a perception game, you know? It's all a perception game. So, if you can start receiving love more, or if you're somebody who takes all the love all the time, you know, and doesn't give it much, then this is your time to give it, right? You know? But I think that this is a major moment for us all to realize wherever that love is, whether it's receiving more or giving more, or balancing out both and realizing, you know, you do more than the other and less than the other. Yeah, just keep. I'll let you know.
Okay.
We got Leanna driving. She is officially a California driver now. She got her California license.
To put me through a lot of things. It's crazy.
Yeah, you know, so good example with my wife. She just.
I have a good example too.
What's your good example?
You go first.
I was just gonna say she just moved here from Canada, right? Well, it's been 9 months paperwork. But just to get a driver's license, they made her retake the test. They made her retake the written and the driving. Right? But no, she wasn't even prepared. And she passed. And she made it happen. And she wasn't scared. Well, she was a little scared, but not like scared, like, oh my God, I can't do it. She stuck up and just did it. So what was your example?
It's kind of personal, but I won't go into the personal details.
No, we like personal here. People watch because it's personal.
No, I know. But, hang on.
I got it.
It's like right here.
I got you.
So
get off this exit.
Shit, are you serious?
Yeah, you can get over.
Well, no, that's
just put your blinker on now. Put your blinker on. Put your blinker on.
So I got a fast car.
Yeah, that's right. I made sure it was fast.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, get over here, right? Yeah. And then get off this exit, all the way to the right, all the way. There you go. Beautiful.
Okay, so my example, like the world can be going through a lot of crazy stuff and it can seem really, like when you're talking about that,
right?
I just had like this perfect example because it was one of the realizations that I had last week, because this is going to get personal, but me and David got into a huge argument and it was probably the most...
Which we never get into arguments.
Yeah, we barely ever argue. But anyway, we got into a really big argument and it was probably, for me, the most hurtful since we're so far in our relationship now, and I don't know, it was just really intense and I was just feeling awful. I felt really awful. It was horrible. But anyway, I didn't really realize the beauty in it because it ended up making us do something that we never really would have done otherwise. And it brought us so much closer and healed so many parts of both of ourselves, and also brought out parts of ourselves that would have never, ever come out otherwise. Ever.
True that.
It helped us become closer, and so if that argument never happened, we would have never done the things that made us become closer together and completely different with each other. Which
left at the second light.
Is
there's the beautiful beach.
There's the beautiful beach. But it was amazing. And then so also, you know, with Mexico going through these earthquakes and all these buildings falling and crumbling and all that, there's a beauty in it. It's also awful because, like, you know, those buildings have been around for so long. They were some people's homes and all that kind of stuff. But now they're going to have to, it's like the tarot card, the Tower. It's like that one. You know, things crumble that weren't very strong, but only for you to build them stronger. And so you never really see the beauty in it while it's happening, but then after, once you realize all the greatness that it's done for you, that's when you see the amazing part of it.
True that. And I like how you mixed in the tarot.
Yeah. Because I always think of it as the Tower card, because it's an awful card and it's one that you hate to see because you're like, oh my God, things are going to start crumbling.
But the star comes after the tower.
Exactly. It's because you're rebuilding, and then that foundation becomes so strong that it'll be way harder to hit down in the future because you built it correctly on a stable foundation. Yeah. That's what it's about.
True that.
As I was thinking the whole time you were talking, so I wanted to share that.
No, you have to share it.
Yeah.
That's why I married a Gemini wife.
Woo!
Everybody's saying, preach, sister, yo.
Woo!
So, okay, so you're going to make a left at this next entrance. Not like this, but the light.
Okay, gotcha.
Anyway, so I just want to put some of that out, and Leanna wanted to put some of that out. Like, I'll be honest, like, yeah, she's right. We went through a really rough patch there for a second. It was actually a very small patch, but it was a big one.
It was small but big.
It was small but big. And it was during the time when all this crazy stuff's going on in the world anyway, right? So I was like, oh man, is it going to go south, all this crap, like this bad? And then for her and I, we found so much beauty in it all and did the work and stepped up with our courage and accepted love in both of ourselves and started accepting love in the world. And we don't, her and I are not, like, we don't let the news and the world, like, get us. Like,
yeah. I mean, if I didn't live with him, I probably wouldn't even watch the news. I'd just hear it from other people.
Right. And I just watch it because it's a little bit more entertaining for me. But, you know, you all know I have my opinions on it all. I always take the trifecta, the third view. I don't pick a side. I think both sides look like idiots, personally. But I bet there's a lot to be weighed out right now with the world. But anyway, it's just there's so much good going on and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. I don't know why everybody's so afraid of the world right now, but I mean, I've described it in a lot of my videos and what's happening, and my ears are completely clogged right now because I'm sicker than a dog. But you know, I'm here for my my Oma's 92nd birthday. She's 92, and you know what? This is the way I'm going to end this. We're going to make a right in here and park somewhere in here. Okay. On her 92nd birthday, my Oma does not complain about a thing. She eats whatever she wants.
She still has wine.
She still has wine. She eats macaroni and cheese.
She still drives.
She still drives. There was a parking spot right there. Oh no. Oh no. She does whatever she wants, and she is living the dream. And everybody is so worried about what to eat, what to do, what to say, when to do it, how to live. Sure. I'll park right there next to Roger's truck and Pete's truck.
Oh, wow. Very nice of you.
Anyway, 92 years old. And she'll share a Sprite with me whenever. Love you guys. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.